The News at Noon starts right now.
On this 4th of July that we will not soon forget, we welcome you to the News at Noon here. If you're just now joining us, we have been following catastrophic, deadly flooding for several hours now in Kerr County.
And these are just a few of the images captured by photojournalists Alex Gomez, Patty Santos. They've been out there all morning long. And again, we have several crews on the ground as we speak. Our very own Courtney Freeman just made it out there. Kerrville this noon. Courtney, of course, you got the chance to speak with some who witnessed this flooding firsthand.
Yeah, I did, Daphne and Ernie. And early this morning, before even hitting the road to come out here to Kerrville, we have a higher vantage point. We're on the 3rd floor of a parking garage, so you can see everything behind us. The river, extremely high. It's still raining out here. And so you can check back with me during the show. I'm going to toss back to you.
All right, Courtney, thank you very much. She spoke to some people who've been involved in this, and obviously we'll get her audio. You know, the rain gets into some of these microphones and Mother Nature, the elements and everything, and so it's a little tricky sometimes. We appreciate Courtney, and we'll talk to her again in just a little bit.
Cloudy skies here in San Antonio. We got our meteorologists have been hard at work all morning long. Okay, Sarah, you make a sense of everything.
Daphne, I'm glad you pointed out cloudy skies here in San Antonio because, again, all we're dealing with in San Antonio is just some light rain right now. Flooding is not a concern for San Antonio, but I do have to focus on the historic flood event that we have had across Kerr County. The first thing you need to know, and across the hill country rather, it's not just limited to Kerr County. The first thing you need to know is that this rain is starting to weaken quite a bit. I can go ahead and show you in the last hour. You can see just how heavy that rain was, and now it's starting to weaken. Take a look at the top of your screen here. At one point we had over 300 lightning strikes. Now we've got 60 lightning strikes. So this storm is weakening, indicated by the less lightning out there. Now, it has been a historic, devastating rainfall event across the hill country. Here's a look at the last 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the warnings here just so that you can see the rainfall and we can focus in on the rain. Not only do we have a massive bullseye in parts of Kerr County and northern Bandera County, but also in Kendall County, where we are continuing to see some flooding nearer to Comfort as well. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this rainfall here. This is near Hunt, and this is 39 right there. That is a road that rides right up to the Guadalupe River, where we have seen in some cases 10 to 12 inches of rain. That is a foot of rain right along the river there, and then all of that water has flowed into Guadalupe River all the way down toward Canyon Lake. This is a lot of rain. I can actually show you what it was like earlier this morning. We're going to look at past radar. Again, right now on the radar, things are starting to wind down a little bit, but take a look at the past radar here. As we look at radar since midnight this morning, since midnight, notice right here from 1 to 4 o'clock in the morning, it was just raining constantly over this area right along the river here. 39. Here's 39. Remember, that is the river. That's a road that rides right up to the river, and it's just raining consistently over that river. That is why we are dealing with the flooding we are dealing with now along the Guadalupe River. Here's a look at the Guadalupe flood warnings. Just to center you here, here's Kerrville, here's Center Point. This is Kendall County from Comfort to Spring Branch in Comal County, and here is Canyon Lake. We know that the waters from Kerrville to Center Point are starting to recede. That is good news. We want the Guadalupe River to continue to recede, but all of that water has to flow downriver. So from Comfort to Spring Branch, we're seeing the waters rise. And in fact, by later tonight, the waters of Spring Branch are expected to rise at Guadalupe River at Spring Branch by 30 feet. So right now, the water at Spring Branch is at about a foot. It's expected to rise to 34 feet by this afternoon. Anybody along the riverbanks from Comfort to Spring Branch, if you're not in high elevation, you need to move to high ground and wait for this water to recede. Again, it's going to take some time. But what about the Guadalupe River toward Canyon Lake? Well, the Canyon Lake Guadalupe River will continue to rise as well. And how about from Canyon Lake to New Braunfels? Remember, this is why we have reservoirs like Canyon Lake to dam up the river to prevent massive flooding farther downstream. And as that water fills Canyon Lake from the Guadalupe River, remember, Canyon Lake is only 40% full. That's a long way to go before you have to release a ton of water into the Guadalupe toward New Braunfels. We'll keep you posted, but it's 4th of July weekend. If you have plans to tube or to spend time along the Guadalupe all the way through New Braunfels and even down towards Seguin, check in with authorities before you do so, please, because of the flooding. So that is the Guadalupe River. We're also seeing flooding along the Medina River in southern and parts of Bandera County all the way up to northern Medina County. This is a lesser portion of the river that is flooding. But from Bandera to Medina River, to Medina Lake rather, we're expecting the river to rise to 17 feet. Here's the thing, Medina Lake, 2% full. Okay, it's got a long way to go. So a lot of water can flow into Medina Lake before we see any issues downstream. We'll keep you posted there. But again, it's worth mentioning, this is how much rain has fallen in these areas over the last 24 hours. Anywhere you see the purples, that's more than 6 inches, more than half a foot of rain. Anywhere you see the whites, that's more than 9 inches of rainfall. You'll notice that we do also have a bullseye north of Sisterdale. Here's a look at how much rain has fallen in Kendall County north of Sisterdale, about 7.5 inches of rainfall. Here in Bexar County, not a ton, maybe about 1 inch of rain in some places, especially on the north side, maybe 2 inches of rain along I-10 there north of 1604, but not enough to cause any flooding issues. And as we look back at the radar, pardon me, you can see that San Antonio just dealing with some light rain right now. There are flood warnings in effect all across the hill country until 2 p.m. with this flood warning along Guadalupe River extended into the overnight hours. So we need to be very careful along the Guadalupe and the Medina River for a longer period of time. We will keep you posted. It is 4th of July. It is a holiday. There's a lot of plans out there. And we will continue to keep you posted about things across the hill country. There's been a lot that's been canceled. I know in Fredericksburg, they're on standby for the firework displays later tonight. But here in San Antonio, here's what we're thinking at the moment. Again, this is one of those forecasts where I'm going to be square with you. Okay, we have to watch what the radar is doing. If the rain decides to pulse back up again, we'll adjust the forecast. But here's what we're thinking right now. We're thinking this light rain will continue with us through about 4 or 5 o'clock. Then as we head into the evening, we'll be less likely to see rain. Sun sets at about 8:40. And so because of that, I think for now, firework displays will go off without a hitch around San Antonio. And then as we look toward the forecast tomorrow and over the next several days, we still have a chance for some showers and storms tomorrow. We're going to adjust that forecast as needed based on what happens right now, but we do dry out for most of the week next week. I had to show you that forecast here in San Antonio because, again, we're not anticipating this kind of devastating flooding that they're dealing with in the hill country. But if you are in the hill country, I need to tell you, please pay very close attention. Make sure on your phone, you have your alerts enabled from the National Weather Service. That is important. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on the KSAT Weather Authority app too. But if you have any plans to camp or things like that in the coming days for the rest of 4th of July, please make sure you have your emergency alerts activated. There was flash flood warnings in Kerr County at around 1 a.m. before the devastating flooding happened. And again, we really want to make sure to be careful today for the rest of your 4th of July. One thing I can do is show you the big picture. The reason why we are seeing this deluge of rain is because we've got a low pressure system overhead that is just soaking up some Pacific moisture. The atmosphere is filled with water to the brim, and that low has nowhere to go, and that is why we are dealing with the heavy rainfall. Now, with these events, they actually tend to let up during the day, and we're kind of starting to see that. Again, the intensity of the rain is starting to wind down. But it is important to know that here in San Antonio, we're going to be dealing with light rain for the rest of the day. Please please send in your pictures to KSAT Connect, your videos to KSAT Connect. You are our eyes on the ground at this time when people's lives are at stake. So thank you everybody who has sent in those pictures. As we take a look at your weekend forecast for the rest of your 4th, again, know that there could be a few showers and storms tomorrow. We'll dry out on Sunday, high temperatures back to 93, and guess what? You're going to feel every degree of that 93 because the grounds are completely soaked. So that's a look at what's happening right now in the forecast. We're going to continue to keep you posted. Where are we headed to next, folks in the back? Let me know where we're going to go next. Let's go back to Japhanie and to Ernie.
All right, thanks so much, Sarah. Again, we have crews on the scene as we speak, out and about right now. I think we have our very own Daniela Ibarra, right?
Yeah, Daniela is joining us live right now. So Daniela, give us an idea, where exactly are you and what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, so we're just north of Ingram, which is a town that's north of Kerrville, about 20 miles or so. I want to give you a look at the scene that we're at right now. So this is Highway 39 and Ingram Loop West, for those of you who are familiar with this area. So you see the flashing lights right there. Those are police officers that are actually blocking people from heading north up Highway 39. I spoke with the police officer about 15 minutes ago who told me that the cars that are coming back south down Highway 39, those are cars, they're actually evacuating people who live up on Highway 39. The police officer told me that there is a lot of water up there. There's a school just up the road, and he said that the water is up to the school. Just a couple of minutes ago, we heard a helicopter, and we actually saw a helicopter fly by. We got here about 25 minutes ago, and when we pulled up, we saw that helicopter just flying above this area right here. And just to give you perspective as to where we are, like I said, we're at Highway 39, Ingram Loop West, and just south of here is where the Guadalupe River is. We haven't seen the river for ourselves, but I can tell you that we were just at a gas station about 20 minutes ago. When I was in there, I was speaking with a woman who said that she is in one of those homes who had to be evacuated. She said she got evacuated at 6:30 this morning. She told me she didn't know if she'd have a house to go back to. She said her work is also affected. She doesn't know if she has a place to go back to work. So like I said, we just got here about 25 minutes ago. We are working to talk with more people, but this is what's going on right here just north of Ingram.
All right, thanks so much, Daniela. We also got our Courtney Freeman in Kerrville this noon.
Yeah, we touched base with her at the top of the show. I want to get back to her to give us an update. I know you're a little higher up, Courtney, but how are things where you are right now?
Yeah, guys, thanks for bearing with those audio issues in the beginning. But yeah, we're here in Kerrville downtown. We're on the 3rd story of a parking garage so that we have a better vantage point. You can see the river right there behind us. Very full, moving very quickly. On our way up here, we did run into a couple people that we were able to speak with. We stopped at a gas station and I spoke with a woman who was in there, and she said that she's from Ingram. They don't know if their home is okay, but they do know that they have already lost multiple friends. So we do talk about these fatalities, and now we're starting to see the interpersonal connections. She was just really, really down and said, you know what, we got to get out of here. And I said, what would you like our viewers to know? And she said, just don't go to Ingram right now. Please be careful. Please be safe. So there are a lot of people already grieving, not just their houses and not just their property, but lives that have already been lost. And so she is leaving town. She said a lot of people in their area are leaving, which is good news because we need to let those first responders do their job. We know Ingram was so hard hit, Ingram in that Hunt area, as well as here in Kerrville. And we've had crews here the entire morning. And I did actually, before I got on the road, I spoke to someone who was right there in the main part of the flooding. He said his house is on a higher hill, but he started hearing the devastation overnight. Take a listen to what he had to tell me.
Oh, overnight it was rattling the entire house, the windows. The thunder was just like sledgehammers hitting the roof. It was unreal. It was rocking us out of bed. And the rain was just relentless. And I, personally thought, oh, it's probably, flood, the river's going to come up a little bit. I had no idea what I was going to see.
Yeah, and as soon as he described that to me, he went on to say that he has a cousin whose RV was one of the ones that was swept away. He was able to be rescued, but that RV ended up wrapped around a tree. Another thing he said that stuck with me was, this is the 4th of July. This is the #1 time of the year. He said that his area, his hometown, all these visitors convene on this river, as close to the river as they can. So he said the timing is what is so devastating and so horrific to his community. He said his family members are safe, but of course they've lost houses and a lot of property. So we will be continuing to check in. His name's Bill Washam, and we appreciate him giving us that perspective. But we are here in Kerrville. We have a view of the river, and we're going to be gathering more information as we can get it and bring that to you. But for now, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
All right, we are back here on this 4th of July as we continue our coverage, which we can now announce we are going to go past 1 o'clock.
Yes.
And there is no end time set right now. We're just going to keep going. There is a press conference scheduled for 3 o'clock this afternoon and another one that could unfold in Austin before then. So in the meantime, we want to get out to our crews right now who are spread out all over Kirk County, including, we talked to Courtney Freeman a little while ago, but we also have Sarah Acosta.
Yeah, we're going to check in with Sarah Acosta right now. She was actually in the room when they were doing the presser. Again, she's in Kerrville. She got the update from officials. Sarah, what can you tell us?
Yeah, just a recap of what they said earlier. They really didn't give us a lot of information. Basically, all they could tell us is that dozens of rescues are being carried out and dozens of people have died. They're calling this a devastating and deadly flood, surpassing the 1987 flood. They did not confirm how many people have died. They did not confirm how many people are missing, and they did not confirm how many rescues are being carried out at this time. So most of the people they did say that are being found dead have not been identified. They are currently being fingerprinted so they can be identified. And one of the big issues here is that it has been nonstop raining over the Guadalupe River since 4 a.m. It's let up, but you could still see it is still raining behind me, lightly, but it is still raining. So all of these first responders could not use their rescue boats to get into the rivers and areas to actually rescue these people. They were really relying on aircraft rescues. We saw one right behind here earlier, that boat just sitting there and a helicopter flying over. And so we don't even know how many rescues are going on just right here in Kerrville, right next to us. And they didn't tell us how many helicopters are actually doing aerial recovery. So we asked and pressed about the several camps in the area, if those campers were safe, and they didn't give us any information on that. We know there's a lot of parents out there that are concerned, and we asked the judge, hey, was there a warning system? He said no, there was not a warning system. We asked him, why weren't these campers evacuated? And he said, you know what, call the camps. That's on the camps. So we're still waiting for a lot of this information. This is a very fluid situation. They did tell us that if you're willing to donate, they need a lot of resources right now to call the Red Cross. That is their main organization they're going through to accept those donations. Again, at 3 p.m., they're going to give us an update on how many people have died in this flood. A lot of information has not been let out, but I just want to talk about the atmosphere earlier. We were here since, 8 this morning, and we were at the Ingram Elementary School where families were going to report their missing loved ones. That is where you go to report if you cannot find a loved one. The atmosphere is very heavy. This is a very dire situation. Lots of rescues going on and lots of people being found not alive, and lots of people still missing. So as soon as we get that information, we will bring it to you live on air and on live. Live from Kerrville, I'm Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Sarah. And speaking of rescue, we had some amazing video coming in that I'm going to break down on KSAT Connect of a rescue taking place from a helicopter, state police helicopter. I'll show you guys that soon. But right now, again, we've been talking about the chaos happening in the Kerrville area. Here home, we're at peace in a way with rain.
Pretty remarkable. So we're standing by. We'll get back to meteorologist Sarah Spivey here in just a little while. We're going to go to her now, or we're going to take a break? We're going to go to break. A quick break. More with Sarah and the rest of our crews coming up.
Welcome back to the news at noon. Courtney Freeman here, anchoring out in the field. We are here in Kerrville downtown, where the rain is letting up, still happening right here behind me. You can see the river behind me swollen. and definitely you can tell that the flooding has come through. Now, we are tracking all of this rain. We know that this is now a deadly flood. We've seen rescue helicopters on our way in. And so a lot of this is just making sure that we are showing you the devastation, keeping you as updated as we can. And of course, part of those updates lie with our meteorologists because, of course, even though these rescue operations are underway and they're trying to investigate what happened and try to get these people rescued or out of the water or safe, we are still dealing with rain. We had really heavy rain on our way up here through Comfort, and luckily it's died down. But we're going to head to Sarah Spivey. Sarah, it seems like this system is just kind of sitting here.
It really is, Courtney, and that is the problem. A lot of rain in a short period of time. As we zoom out, we can actually take a look over the last 3 hours here to get a better understanding of the structure of this system. Can you see that little swirl there? That's that low pressure system. Now, the good news, as Courtney was mentioning, is that the rainfall is starting to lighten up quite a bit. But in the summer months, when you get these low pressure systems right overhead, there's no other systems to really help kick it out of the way. And so it has just parked itself over the hill country, resulting in a lot of rain. As we go ahead and zoom in right now and take a look at what's happening at the moment, you can see that the rain for the most part has let up quite a bit. We'll turn on the lightning strikes here because I want to point out that this storm is a lot less electrified. There's not nearly as many lightning strikes as there once was with this storm. That signifies to me it is weakening, which again is good news because as it stands, we have flash flood warnings in effect all throughout the hill country. This is a look at the warnings in and of themselves. So Kerr County, all of the entire county is under a flash flood warning until about 2 p.m. Bandera County in flash flood warning until 2 p.m. The western half of Comal County in a flash flood warning until 3 p.m. After 3 p.m., that's when the risk for flash flooding or flooding outside of a riverbank is going to go down. But at the same time, we also have a flood warning for the Guadalupe River. So let's go ahead and zoom into the Guadalupe River and talk about the flood warning that is ongoing. I'm going to step off the screen for a second because I've got the river gauges that I want to bring into effect so you can see exactly what the river is at right now in these areas. Kerrville, Center Point, Comfort, and then down near Spring Branch. The flooding has started to recede in Kerrville, the Guadalupe at Kerrville, but we are still looking at pretty intense flooding. Here is a look at the Guadalupe River at Kerrville. You can see here, I know that the text might be a little small here, but basically what you need to know is at 4 o'clock in the morning at Kerrville, the Guadalupe River reached flood stage at major flood stage above 20 feet. It started to recede and then we got some more heavy rain. And now it is starting to go back down again, but it is not expected to get out of flood stage until 5 p.m. tonight. Further downstream in Comfort, we're seeing the river start to crest in major flood stage. It is beginning to recede, which again is good news. But here is the thing, Spring Branch downstream expected to get to moderate flood stage, rise by 30 feet by this afternoon. That is why I highly encourage anybody that is along Guadalupe River from Comfort to Spring Branch. Remember, Spring Branch, we're not going to see it crest until later this afternoon, 30 feet above where it is right now. So if you have friends and family that live along the riverbank in Spring Branch area, or honestly anywhere from Comfort to Spring Branch, including Guadalupe River area, state natural area, you are going to want to make sure that they seek higher ground and wait until the river subsides. In fact, these flood warnings are in effect until about 1 o'clock in the morning. And now, all the floodwaters are going to flow into Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake is only 46% full right now. It's at its lowest level since it was inundated in the 70s. There is a lot of catch available for this water in Canyon Lake before they have to start to release it toward New Braunfels. Odds favor them not planning on releasing any water toward New Braunfels in a large capacity. We may see stream flow increase out to New Braunfels. If you're planning on going tubing out in New Braunfels on the Guadalupe tomorrow, Sunday, keep your plans, but make sure you check in. Now, the river is flooding, though, north of Canyon Lake. So if anybody is living near or along that river, Guadalupe River, north of Canyon Lake or upstream of Canyon Lake, you need to make sure that you are nowhere near that water's edge as that flood is continuing. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and show you Medina River, which you can see Medina River is also under a flood warning because of several inches of rain that fell near Medina River. I'm going to go ahead and zoom into that area here for you. Here's Medina River. You can see from Bandera to Medina Lake, we've got a flood warning. Medina Lake itself is only 2% full. So again, there's a lot of catch available in Medina Lake. But anybody who lives from Bandera to Medina Lake along the Medina River, that is expected to flood to 17 feet. Let's go ahead and talk, though, about how much rain has fallen in these areas and why we are seeing such a flood event in these areas. The reason why we're seeing this flood is because of the over 10 to 12 inches of rain that has fallen in that area since just about midnight. So in 12 hours, this is how much rain has fallen in that area. In some cases up to a foot. This is very reminiscent for some people of the 1987 flood, which unfortunately swept away a school bus. Similar rainfall fell west of Hunt back in 1987. So again, we are looking at a historic rainfall event, one that has not been seen since 1987 in a lot of people's lifetimes, honestly. This rainfall event has not been seen. This flooding event has not been seen in these areas. So the good news I can bring you is that the rain is starting to come to an end in the hill country. We're starting to see a temporary reprieve, a little bit of lighter rain falling in the area. Hopefully those first responders can get everything they need to get done now that the rain has started to let up a bit. Around San Antonio, we do not anticipate this kind of flooding. I think that is an important thing to stress. If you live in San Antonio, we do not anticipate the kind of deadly flooding that happened in Kerr County earlier this morning. The thing to keep in mind is it is, of course, 4th of July. So as we look to the rest of your day today, this is San Antonio's forecast. We'll have some light rain in the area through about 4 o'clock. Then by 5, 6 o'clock, closer to sunset, we're hoping that we see less rain coverage, which is what we forecast right now for firework displays. Of course, please check in with your authorities. We'll send notifications. Another thing to consider is that tomorrow there is a chance for a few showers and storms as well, about 60%. If that rain falls in the hill country, we're going to be looking at more flooding issues. So we'll keep you posted on that, of course, as well. For now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be back with more news and weather for you.
All right, 12:34 now. Welcome back. Even as we try to understand the scope of what we've been seeing all morning long, it is clear that this is something that has had a deep impact on this community.
And I know authorities in Kerrville, the judge there had mentioned that he's already heard from Senator John Cornyn and Nim Kidd with the Texas Department of Emergency Management. We want to spend a few minutes this afternoon, I should say now, visiting with State Representative Wes Verdell from the 53rd District, whose district includes Kerr County, among many others. And Representative, on this 4th of July, we would love to be talking under different circumstances, but we appreciate your time this afternoon. What can you tell us from your vantage point in terms of the devastation and what you would like your constituents to know right now?
Yeah, first thing would be is that we need people to try not to cross any crossings. If there's water flowing across the road, do not cross it right now. We have DPS and TDM on scene, and they are trying to gather data right now. And so right now this is actively, we're trying to get information of what's going on. And so we're still getting numbers. One of the big things I want to point out, if people are seeing on social media different different things are being put out there of issues that are going on. Just know that if you're seeing it on social media, that may not be accurate information. And they're going to have a press conference at 3, and we will have a lot of information available at 3 for anyone who wants an update from DPS and TDM and from the Kerr County Sheriff's Office.
Now, I understand there are a lot of resources and assets that are across the state that is helping this community. There's something else that people were weighing in and was kind of asking for those donations. So can you speak to that as far as what people could do to help each other out in this time?
Yeah, so right now, at the moment, there's still all the emergency response is being put in place. I do know that there is the game wardens are out there trying to find out where people are and help them as need be. As far as donations go, just be careful. If you see something online that's raising money to help with this, be cautious about that. But also at the moment, we just need to wait till 3 o'clock and let them take the data that they have gathered, repeat that out there. And then as far as donations, there's a lot of people wanting to help in the district right now. And outside of the district, we just need to make sure that those in leadership are able to coordinate what's coming in. And if there becomes an opportunity to help, then we would ask everybody to bring food and everything else. But right now, we're still trying to gather all the information.
We are talking with State Representative Wes Verdell, who represents the 53rd District, which includes Kerr County, among others here. And Representative, no doubt you know that there are a number of parents watching this or listening right now trying to find out information on their campers, their young children, many of them daughters, many people posting on social media looking for lost loved ones. Can you offer any kind of update on the numbers of people who might be unaccounted for? We've heard about fatalities out there, but just anything to give some kind of information to these family members and people that are desperately looking for their loved ones.
Yeah, at this moment, right now, we're still trying to gather the data on that. Like I said, on social media, there is some misinformation going out. And so no information is going to be put out publicly until they accurately know what is going to, what the current situation is. But just know if you do see it on social media, it could be incorrect data. And like I said, the meeting at 3 o'clock, the press briefing, will hopefully cover more of that.
So personally speaking, this is a district that includes Kerrville. This is something that you're familiar with. What do you think when you see the images of the flooding that's happening and the rushing water and the damage that's taking place, cars being swept away? What goes through your mind personally seeing that and comparing it to the flood that you guys have experienced before?
This is going to be one of the worst ones that we've experienced in this area. And what's hard is to know that there are people out there they are depending on people to come help them. And I know that the state and local government is doing everything they can to figure out where those people are and get help to them. For me, it is tough. 2018, we had a really big flood come through Llano County, which is in the district. And anyways, it did a lot of damage, a lot of devastation, and we won't know what exactly the damage is and the devastation until all the data accurately comes in. That's the most important part, which I keep repeating is right now we're trying to gather all the facts, but it is hard to watch, to see, this is a beautiful area, and to see all the damage that is occurring. And we're just trying to get the information right now so we can know going forward how to address it all.
So let me ask you this, Representative Verdell. So we've heard the governor has released a statement. We know Senator Cornyn has reached out. The Kerrville mayor has issued a disaster declaration. So can you explain in practical terms, it is a holiday weekend, but what happens now in terms of getting resources, money, help in the short term on a holiday weekend to these people that have been devastated so much?
Yeah, that's what the emergency management system is working on putting together at the moment. I just talked with the Kerr County emergency manager, and they are trying to put everything in place to release that information to help everybody out.
I just, obviously seeing...
I wish...
Oh, keep going. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I wish I could give you more information than that. We just want to make sure any information is accurate. just there's a lot of misinformation going out at the moment.
Okay.
And I know that's something that we 100% respect, and we will wait for y'all's call on that. But again, as I was mentioning, your constituents, they are resilient. I've seen so many people online, doing what they can to lift each other up. I read a prayer from one of your residents. If you had any encouraging words while we wait for that information to come out, and why there are so many people who are waking up to this kind of destruction, the families who are at the reunification areas, what words would you have for them to understand that we're not done? We're going to keep rebuilding.
Yeah, I would say that pray for everybody. There's a lot of people that need prayer right now. There's going to be your neighbors that need help. And I'm in Kerrville right now. I came over here as fast as I could, and we're already seeing some parking lots with people filling into those parking lots, trying to help how they can. And so it's going to get better the more information we get, and the more accurately we're going to be able to direct people where to help. But the main thing is pray for everybody right now. Kerrville needs it.
Amen.
Well said there. State Representative West Ferdell, the 53rd District, certainly didn't plan to spend your Independence Day this way, but your constituents, I'm sure, appreciate you being there. So, and we appreciate your time this afternoon, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, so again, just to remind you, we originally were going to be on till 1 o'clock, but that plan has been paused and tabled, and we're going to stay on the air. I believe Myra Arthur and Stephania Jimenez will be coming in a little while to join us as well.
And of course, we're going to continue to track the latest amid this breaking weather event. Of course, we got the one and only Sarah Spivey. She's been doing her thing all morning long, kind of giving us that firsthand view of what's going on and what we should expect.
And we're going to get to her coming up in just a little bit. We're going to step aside here. Don't go away. It's 12:43 on this 4th of July. We'll be right back. All right, we're back here, and Japhanie will head over to the storyteller here momentarily. I want to read this really quickly. Governor Greg Abbott has just, let me grab this real quick before we get back to Japhanie. So Governor Greg Abbott has issued a statement just a short time ago regarding the devastating floods, and we want to read some of that to you here. He says the state is providing all necessary resources to Kerrville, Ingram, Hunt, and the entire Texas Hill Country. He said in part, quote, the state of Texas today has mobilized additional resources in addition to the resources sent in preparation for the storms, end quote. He's urging Texans to seek guidance from state and local officials. So that from Governor Abbott. Really quickly, just want to mention, because of all the campers and the parents that have been watching, Camp Waldemar has posted on their social media that all of their kids are safe and sound. In their words, they have a lot of rain, the phones and internet are down, but for parents of kiddos or loved ones at Camp Waldemar, they are reporting that all of their kids are safe and accounted for. Okay, to Japhanie now, or we're going to get to live cam right now. And then I promise we'll get to Japhanie here and Sarah Spivey as well.
Right now, as you can see, it's 12:46, and again, it is cloudy outside, light rain, but as Sarah has been saying all day long, do not let your guard down.
That's right, Japhanie. Do not let your guard down. And here's the reason why. Yes, the rain is starting to let up, which is good news here in San Antonio and across the Hill Country. We're dealing with light rain in San Antonio. Across the Hill Country, where the most devastating floodwaters have been, we're starting to see this rain become a bit more light in nature, which is good news for all of those first responders who still have a lot of work to do along the Guadalupe River. That being said, just because the rain is letting up does not mean we can let our guards down, because here's a look at how much rain has fallen in the area since about midnight. Right around midnight is when it started really raining across the Hill Country. You can see west of Kerrville, here's where the devastation really started. So here's Hunt, here's Ingram, and then here's Highway 39 in Kerrville. You'll notice that that road is pretty windy. The reason why? It follows Guadalupe River. Guadalupe River early this morning and up to now, west of Hunt, has received in some cases up to radar indicated a foot of rainfall. And there are quite a few campgrounds along this road, things like that. And so the river has started to flood and continues to flood. You can see down in parts of Bandera County, north of Medina, we've also seen a ton of rainfall. Even though the rain is starting to let up, we really need to be on alert, because the rain from the river The rain onto the river has to flow somewhere, and it's flowing downstream. Here's a look at the Guadalupe River right now and the warnings that are in effect. From Hunt to Kerrville down to Center Point, even in Comfort, now the waters are starting to recede. They're still flooding, but they're starting to recede. All of that water, though, is flowing into areas in Kendall County, from Comfort to Spring Branch in Comal County, and out to Canyon Lake. Folks in Kendall County, folks in Comal County near Spring Branch, you may be thinking, oh, it's just light rain, things are going to be okay. No, that river is expected to become moderate flood stage in Spring Branch by this afternoon and early evening. It's forecast to rise 30 feet. So if you're in Spring Branch or anywhere from Comfort to Spring Branch, you need to be 30 feet above where that riverbed is, in higher ground, in order to be safe from the floodwaters of the Guadalupe. Just because it stops raining doesn't mean that the flooding is not going to be an issue. And you may be wondering, okay, well, what about the Guadalupe from Canyon Lake to New Braunfels? Why is that not under a warning? Well, it's because we got this thing called Canyon Lake, and all of the rainfall and water from Guadalupe is going to flow into Canyon Lake, which is only 46% full, and it's going to catch a lot of that river flow. Now, we'll have to wait and see if they plan on doing any release toward New Braunfels for all of the tubers, things like that for 4th of July weekend. But odds favor no. We've also got this flood warning on Medina River between Bandera and Medina Lake. That's where we've got a flood warning in effect too, as floodwaters are expected to travel along the Medina River into Medina Lake. Remember I said Canyon Lake is only 46% full? Well, Medina Lake is only 2% full. So we've got a long way to go on Medina Lake before things start to need to be released. And in fact, they probably won't be at all. Now, a lot of people are comparing this flood event. We're going to go back to taking a look at the rainfall amounts here. Remember how I said there was about a foot of rain that fell near Ingram and Hunt? A lot of people are comparing this to the 1987 flood. Here's a look back at what happened in 1987. This is that school bus that got picked up by the Guadalupe, where unfortunately some children died. Nearly 1 foot of rain fell near Hunt. Sound familiar? That's exactly what happened today. Now, the Guadalupe rose 29 feet. The Guadalupe has risen more than that this time. So this is worse than the 1987 flood. An unfortunate situation that has happened in the past because of the terrain of the hill country and the fact that in the summer months, we get these rain bombs where this low pressure system just sits over us and doesn't move anywhere. It just produces a ton of rainfall. But let's go back to the current situation. Let's take a look at the radar right now as it stands. Just some light rain falling in Ingram and Kerrville and in Hunt. That is good news. We need that to continue. Here in San Antonio, I want to put your minds at ease. We are not expecting that kind of flooding in San Antonio. In fact, we've just got some light rain. I'll be honest with you though, this has been an evolving forecast. So since the flood started early this morning, we've been adjusting the forecast for San Antonio for the rest of 4th of July. In my opinion, it does look like we'll see at least some rain until about 5-6 o'clock in the San Antonio area. It's going to be light, but it's going to be enough to cause some issues to 4th of July plans. You can see that here in your KSAT 12-hour forecast. 40 to 60% chance for some showers through 5-6 o'clock. Towards sunset, though, there's a decent chance that we could be rain-free and firework displays could go off without a hitch. But that is still something that you're going to want to check in with if you're planning on going out and about. It's not a good pool day. There's going to be plenty of clouds all day long. Even tomorrow, plenty of clouds too, with a chance for a few showers and storms. 89 tomorrow, 93 for the Sunday, 93 for the high. So it is going to be hotter and drier on Sunday, and we'll be able to dry out quite a bit. But I do want to go back to the radar, zoom out, show you the big picture. Light rain here in San Antonio. This is a very slow moving system, as I mentioned. Even with the light rain, it's very slow moving, but you can start to see that there's a bit of a clearing line here. Let's go ahead and track that. you hear a lot about us tracking rain, but we can actually track when things clear out too. If this clearing line is moving at about 20 miles per hour, we'll start to see the rain come to an end around Kerrville around 2:45, 3 o'clock, right around the time of that next press conference that we'll be bringing to you live. In San Antonio, this light rain should come to an end close to about 5, which is why we're forecasting the rain to come to a temporary end by about 5 o'clock this evening, and hopefully allowing for some of the firework displays to go off without a hitch. As we take a look closer to Kendall County, what's going on right now is we've got some heavier rain falling near Candalia and Spring Branch at the moment. Remember, Spring Branch, the river is not high yet, but it will get high. The Guadalupe River will rise over 30 feet. So just because you're getting some light rain doesn't mean you're in the clear at all. And as I turn on the lightning strikes and lightning counter here, you can see that we're really starting to see this system weaken significantly. Only 20 lightning strikes in the entire system. When at one point there was 400 to 500 lightning strikes as well. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what else we can mention. This is a horrible, tragic event. As we know, here in San Antonio and the Hill Country, our major droughts tend to end with big floods. And here's a look at the drought monitor. And you can see that we in San Antonio and across the Hill Country are one of the only areas in the nation, in the state rather, that are under exceptional drought. I've went ahead and outlined that exceptional drought here for you in this white line here, and we can take a look at how much rain has fallen in the exceptional drought areas. You can see in some cases, again, up to a foot of rainfall falling in this area. That is going to be a drought eliminator for these areas in Kerr County. Again, our major droughts tend to end with major floods. That is something you can pretty much guarantee if you've lived here in San Antonio long enough. Check of the 7-day. Again, a chance for some rain continues tomorrow, 60%, although flooding risk is a lot lower, but we'll keep you posted. 93 on Sunday. Looking ahead to next week, a quieter week. We are not going to be dealing with this kind of flooding next week, which again is good news. All right, where are we headed to next? Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the pictures that you have sent in on KSAT Connect. You're our eyes on the ground in KSAT Connect and videos. Let's take a look at some of those, Daphne.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I've been tracking this all morning long, giving kind of a updated view of what some community members are seeing firsthand and giving people that idea of what to expect. I do want to give some love to Jay Kellen. He caught this right here. We've been talking about it and hearing about it all day, how we're getting several different assets coming from the state. He says the state police helicopter rescuing stranded flood victims. So if you're looking at the screen, I'm going to press play right here. You'll see there is a first responder coming down, making his way down into all of these trees right here. It takes about 5 minutes for them to get to the victim. But let me go ahead and scroll all the way past to about the 5-minute mark. I think this is happening around the 5-minute mark when you see the actual victim being lifted back out of the trees. And here you got the helicopter has lowered down a little bit just yet. You're about to see it right now, coming right up. And at this point, you're going to see he's holding the victim as we speak, coming up from those brushes, and it appears that they're okay. So again, this is one of those success stories that we're seeing, and again, rescues are happening constantly. And I also want to give some attention to here with this video or picture is just coming in. We got people sending in a lot of debris. Artist Ramos Martinez sent, "My nephew from Hunt sent me this." So a lot of aftermath. Now that the sun is up, now that we got daylight, you can see exactly the destruction that happened in this community. And at this time, it is catastrophic. You can tell that there are a lot of homes are going to be working in the stages of cleaning up. I know Sarah said next week we're not going to be able to, seeing a weather event such as this, but we are definitely going to be seeing a lot of people doing a lot of cleanup. This is coming on from artist Ramos Martinez as well, says this is Hunt, Texas. Sent us this right here. Look at all that debris. It's awful. So again, if you guys have pictures, if you have videos that you are seeing in the daylight that we can kind of show, give your constituents perspective of what you are going to expect when you do walk outside of your house, or if you're going back to your home after you've tried to seek shelter of some sort. This is what the aftermath is looking like of all of this. So we're going to stick on this. Send it in to us. Again, KSAT Connect. Download our KSAT Weather Authority app. You got to wait for you to upload pictures there. And again, we don't want you giving your life in danger. Do it safely. Get to an area where you can safely take an image or a video of something and send us what you're looking at, so that way we can put it out there and give your neighbors an idea of what they are expecting once they return back home. You guys stick around. We're going to keep this team coverage going right after this short break. Please do not go anywhere.